Hi, it's Lisa, and we have a pumpkin streusel cheesecake stuffed muffin recipe that we're going to try out today. There's a ton of ingredients in this recipe, so hopefully it's good, but we're going to find out together. There's three parts to the recipe. The first part is for the actual muffin, and those are these ingredients right here. We have 1 3/4 cup of flour, half a cup of the brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and a half a teaspoon of salt. We have a half a cup of vegetable oil, 1/3 of a cup of milk, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 2 eggs, 1 1/2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon, 1 1/2 teaspoons of pumpkin pie spice, and then finally 1 cup of the pumpkin puree. And I did do a video on how I prepared my pumpkin, and if you haven't seen that, I will link that in the description box. But you can certainly use canned pumpkin as well. The cheesecake filling is really simple. It is just 8 ounces of cream cheese that's been softened. There's also a teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then 1/3 of a cup of sugar. And then finally, the streusel topping is going to have 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar, half a cup of flour, 1/4 of a cup of butter, so basically half a stick of butter softened, and then 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon and 1/4 of a teaspoon of the pumpkin pie spice. Step 1 is to mix all of the dry ingredients for the muffins together. So it's going to be the 1 3/4 cup of flour, get it all, the half a cup of brown sugar, then we have the 1 1/2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon and the 1 1/2 teaspoons of the pumpkin pie spice. And then finally, it's the 1 teaspoon of baking powder, the 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and the half a teaspoon of salt. We're just gonna kind of mix all that together so it all gets incorporated. And then it's gonna be set aside while you mix together the wet ingredients. Step 2, we are going to mix all of the wet ingredients. I have the 1 cup of pumpkin in a bowl. This is in a separate bowl. I'm going to add the teaspoon of vanilla extract, the 2 eggs. I did whisk them together before I'm pouring them in. The 1/3 of a cup of milk, and then the half a cup of the vegetable oil. You just want to mix all of the wet ingredients together before you pour it into the dry ingredients, and we're just going to mix it so it's all combined, but we don't want to overmix. So now I added the wet into the dry, and I'm just kind of folding it all over. I don't want to overmix it, but I just want to make sure that all the flour and things, you can see down here, there's still some that's not mixed in yet. Just want to make sure it's all mixed together nicely, but not overmixed. For the cream cheese, the cheesecake filling, I have the 8 ounces of cream cheese. It already has the teaspoon of vanilla in it. I'm just going to add the 1/3 of a cup of sugar and basically just mix it all together. I don't know why, but I like to use a fork to kind of just get it all in there and mix it up until it's nice and creamy. You certainly could use a hand mixer as well, but I just feel like it's easier this way. Final step is the streusel topping. I mixed together the half a cup of flour, the 1/3 of a cup of brown sugar, the 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon, and the 1/4 of a teaspoon of the pumpkin pie spice. Mixed it all together, and it's going to be added to the half a stick of the softened butter, and basically just kind of mix it all together, get it kind of crumbly, and this is going to be the streusel topping. I put together all of the muffins, but I wanted to show you step by step what I did. The first step is that I did line the tin with the cupcake liners, and I sprayed them with cooking spray. And I put about a tablespoon or so of the muffin mix across the bottom, just enough to kind of coat the bottom. Then I put a spoonful of the cream cheese filling in, and then finally I put in some more of the muffin mix. You really should just go right to the top of the muffin liner. Then the final step is to take some of the crumbs and push it in on the top. You want to just push it in, make sure it sticks in the batter so it doesn't just fall off. I did end up getting 15 of these, not just 12. I do have 3 more on another tray. And you want to preheat the oven to 425 degrees. You're going to bake it at 425 for 5 minutes. Then you're going to turn the oven down to 350, and you're going to cook it for about 15 more minutes. Keep an eye on it. Toothpick should come out clean, but you know it's going to be tricky because you do have that soft center. You don't want to overcook it. You do want the center to still be soft. Okay, so the muffins have come out of the oven. They've been out for about 15 minutes or so. I did keep them in for the full time. I did the 5 minutes at 425, and then I did 15 minutes at 350. They rose nicely. You can see some of the center kind of came out the top a little bit. I did try the muffin, and it's a good muffin. Not enough pumpkin. It didn't really taste pumpkin-y to me. I don't know if maybe if it sits for a little while longer, if the flavor will be a little bit stronger, but currently I think I would double the amount of pumpkin pie spice. The muffin itself is good. I like the cream center, but just not enough pumpkin. But we're gonna also have our taste tester, Sean, try it out and see what he thinks. All right, so let's see. The sides, you can see that it kind of came out the sides a little bit. But, okay. All right, go ahead.
It's gonna fall apart on me.
All right, lots of cream. Well, that one's got a lot of cream in it.
Let me just
all right, go ahead. Taste it and tell me what you think.
Make sure I get the crumb too. All right.
What do you think?
I like it. It's good. As someone that doesn't eat pumpkin, I would think that this would be right up my alley because you can't really taste too much pumpkin.
Do you taste pumpkin at all?
Not that much. But I like the cream filling, and the crumbs are really good. So yeah, I like this. I think I would definitely eat this again.
It's been a few hours since I last filmed, and as you can see, most of the muffins have been eaten up. I shared it with a few people. I did try it again a couple hours later, and I have to say that the flavors do come together a little bit nicer once it's been sitting for a little while. The creamy center did harden up a little bit. It's still soft, but it hardened up a little bit. It had a nicer flavor. I still feel like it could use a little bit more pumpkin to it. It is a really good recipe. If you like just a slight pumpkin flavor, then I would keep it exactly as it is. But if you like that strong pumpkin flavor, then I would say add a little bit more of the pumpkin pie spice. Overall, it really is a good pumpkin recipe though. I would definitely make it again. I just think personally I would add a little bit more of the pumpkin pie spice. But the center is good, the crumb topping is good, and it's definitely one to try out.